Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everybody. I know it's been a little while, and today I wanted to bring you a very special review video, one that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, basically since I started doing these. And it kind of all hinged on them releasing new versions of all of the original Scramble City Combiner characters. And with the recent addition of King Poseidon, that's now finally been achieved. So the focus of this video today is to look at some of the rare, forgotten Scramble City Combiners that are, in truth, just mix and match versions of existing teams that appeared exclusively in Japan, either through certain marketing materials, some fiction, and just really, I think, are not very well known about, except by people that take a very vested interest in the whole combiner concept and look into it. So there are 5 combiners we're going to be looking at today. It's going to be 2 Autobot, 3 Decepticon combiners. And to demonstrate them, I am using the Hasbro versions, the Combiner Wars versions for these teams, with the exception of obviously King Poseidon, because he doesn't have one. So these may not be your perfect interpretations of the G1 characters. I know, especially with like Computron, they did a lot more retooling over on Takara's side to make them look more like the classic character. But I'm not made of money and couldn't afford to get both, so I stuck with the domestically released versions. So starting out, you can see we've got 3 Autobot combiners here. You have Computron on the left, Superion on the right, and Defensor in the middle. So the first combiner I'm going to show off is a specific combination of these 3 called Compare-eee-h, whose name is a combination of the 3 combiners' Japanese names, Computicon, Superion, and Guardian. Compare-eee-h. Now this combiner has only ever been advertised, or only exists on a promotional poster that was titled The Decisive Battle of Scrambles, which was also the name of a accompanying TV spot they aired in Japan.
Tformers Scramble 大決戦。手足を自由に入れ替えて大激突。今トランスフォーマースクランブルシティシリーズを買うと抽選で超大型ロボが当たるよ。
So, with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and do a little time skip for you, and when it's done, you'll get your first look at a Combiner Wars Compare-eee-h. All right, and here he is. You can see this specific combination comprises Scattershot as the torso. He keeps Lightspeed on, though he switches to the other leg. You also have Air Raid as the right leg. You have Skydive as the right arm, and then he gets Blades as the left arm from Defensor. So overall, the colors work pretty well for him. There's a whole lot of red going on between his different limb members. And luckily, he's nice and stable. So what do we know about Compare-eee-h, other than that he hypothetically exists and has a name? That's pretty much it, right? It wasn't given any kind of personality or description. He's just one way that different Autobots can combine together. So now the next combiner we're going to look at after this is actually very similar to Compare-eee-h, and it's called Cybertron Super Scramble. Now this was created in the pages of a Japanese magazine called TV Magazine, all the way back in the 80s. And it actually got some accompanying artwork, which was pretty cool. Shows, what this hypothetical combiner looks like. And you can see that he has most of the same limbs as Compare-eee-h, though they swap out Lightspeed for Nose Cone and then swap the limbs around in different configuration. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And here he is. Now, I did my best to pose this like how they had in the artwork, so forgive me if I didn't do so great. Now, 2 discrepancies that you may notice between the original version and this one. One is that the hands are black, and that's because the original Superion hands, which are used in this combination, were white, as are Takara's Unite Warrior Superions. Unfortunately, the Hasbro version used black hands and feet, so it's not going to be a match. Also, the artwork uses whichever foot corresponds to whichever leg member. So on this side for Nose Cone, it's right, blades should be using a Blackfoot from Defensor. However, because the Combiner Wars Computron and Combiner Wars Defensor use two different types of feet, they're not the same size, and it just really would not work. So, you know, sacrifices were made here. But yeah, that is, you know, our look at these two off-Ragon Autobot combiners. Now we're going to move on to the Decepticon side of things. Okay, now here are big bad combiners. From left to right, you have Menasor, Abominus, and Bruticus. And you can see I'm using the Space Shuttle Blastoff of Bruticus for accuracy's sake. So these three combine in a way identical to the three Autobots. They had one combiner that was revealed in that poster, and that thing was called A-bomb-inatticus. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but you know, Abominus, Menasor, Bruticus. And then they also had a similar reveal in the TV magazine for the Tron Super Scramble, which a lot of you guys probably know, but I should point out Cybertron and Tron were the original Japanese names of Autobots and Decepticons, for anybody lost with that. And you know, similarly to the Autobot versions, these two new combiners are very, very similar in their team layout, only swapping out one limb between them, but we're still gonna look at both of them. So the first thing we're gonna do is time skip ahead and look at A-bomb-inatticus. And here he is, A-bomb-inatticus. So you have Hunger as the torso, you get Stunticon Dead End as the right arm, Cutthroat as the left, and you get Swindle as the right leg, and Blastoff as the left leg. Now, this combination unfortunately has some discrepancies, just like the Cybertron Super Scramble. For one, the original version would wield Abominus's gun, but as you probably already know, Power of the Prime's Abominus did not have a big old combiner gun. That's actually a big issue with Power of the Prime's combiners, is that through budgeting cuts, those poor guys missed out on any real decent weapons for their combined forms to use. So it's unfortunate. And then the other big thing is the hand color. While both versions use Abominus's hands, the Power of the Prime's Abominus, he didn't have uniform colored hands like the original one did. Normally they'd be the same fuchsia color as his feet here. But for whatever reason, I imagine, again, probably budgetary reasons, they molded the different hand pieces in the same plastics as their, you know, corresponding owners, right? So, you know, this hand's the same purple as what's used on Cutthroat. The other hands are, you know, same colors as the other Terracons. So it's unfortunate. You can't get a perfect looking A-bomb-inatticus. I guess if you want to get a little bit closer, you could swap these hands out for the Stunticon hands. They're more purple than they are fuchsia, so they're not going to exactly match the feet, but at least they'll be uniform with each other and look kind of close. Okay, so now for our next one, we're going to do the Tron Super Scramble, which again will be very similar to this guy, just some rearranging of the limbs and swapping out of a character. So let's take a look. And here he is. And just like the other Super Scramble, he just rearranges the limbs from the prior combiner. And then here we swap out Swindle for Brawl. Now, yet again, there are going to be some discrepancies. Luckily, a weapon's not one of them this time, because the drawing actually doesn't show this guy with a weapon. Though I would assume if he has one, it's Abominus's gun. The hands get to be the right color this time, so that's cool. But we run into an issue with the feet again, like we did with the other Super Scramble combiner, where the feet should be different colors. They should, you know, be the corresponding feet for each leg. But just like Computron's feet, the Abominus feet are molded at a different height than the Combiner Wars feet. So again, they're not compatible. So compromise had to be made there. Another interesting thing, which I don't know if I'd call it a discrepancy, but in the drawing, they actually have Brawl turned around with the tank turret facing backwards, much in the same way that was done with Car Robots Baldigus, or as we in the West know him, Robots in Disguise Ruination. So I'm not sure why they made that change. Could have just been that the guy designing this didn't really know which way to go with it and assumed that, like most of the limbs, the kibble would face backwards. So yeah, I mean, pretty sleek, pretty cool looking. It's like a militaristic version of Abominus. And overall, you know, I like the execution. He looks very nimble. Looks like a real scrappy combiner that could just go around beating up other giant robots. Okay, and now, for the main event, we are going to build another obscure Decepticon combiner that is going to incorporate these three teams already, as well as King Poseidon. And this is a combiner only seen in a manga called Super 7. Not only is he comprised of members from across 4 different combiner teams, he is an actual whopping 8 bot combiner because he uses 2 of King Poseidon's members as his weapons. So, do another time skip and you're going to see the Decepticon ultimate weapon, and here's the big boy himself. Now, naturally, being as decked out as he is with these huge target master / limb guys hanging off his arms, can't really wield them in any decent capacity. They're just forced to kind of hang down, which is a shame. He also lacks some ankle articulation because in order to remain accurate to the manga pages, we are using the corresponding feet that go with Brawl and Dead End, so they don't have any kind of ankle articulation. The plus side to that is because these feet are shallower than King Poseidon's, big old, super articulated, super cool feet, the gun barrels of his target master guys actually reach the ground, so the ground does support their weight a little bit, which is nice. One thing I want to point out that's actually interesting, I didn't realize it before doing this, his limbs, though in a different configuration, are the same exact limbs that the Tron Super Scramble uses, which I don't know if that can be a coincidence or not. I mean, one of those was from TV Magazine. This guy is actually from the official Super God Master Force manga. So I don't know if there's any kind of collaboration or inspiration going on there, or if it's just one heck of a coincidence, but they do use the same limbs. Overall, I mean, this guy is a hodgepodge of colors. He's not the most sightly looking combiner out there. He's got, 3 very darkly colored Transformers, then he's got 4 very bright, almost eye-searing components. So he's kind of all over the place, but he's fun, He'll very likely remind you of, when you were a little kid playing with your G1 combiners and you didn't have all the pieces, all the teams, so you just made whatever you could, or you just, went out of your way to mix and match them for fun. Only this time it's officially sanctioned. It's a canon, garage sale combiner, so it's fun when the hobby and the official channels can kind of mingle like that. So overall, again, very cool looking. You're not going to get a whole lot of poses out of him unless you make him drop his guns. I should point out that the hands I'm using are the actual King Poseidon hands because I couldn't find an image of which hands he's actually supposed to use. Plus, these are the only ones I know for a fact are compatible with the Target Master guys. Blastoff's Combiner Wars hand would not be able to wield these. So I'm just going to go with that and hope for the best. Now, when I first started making this video, I intended to end it here with Scramble 7. But kind of partway through, I decided I wanted to just kind of quickly touch on another one. I don't have the combiner proper, but he kind of fits the bill with all these, though he's a much more recent entity in the greater fiction. And I just think not a lot of people probably know about this one. Now this is Modulus, or 4/5 of him anyway. This is a combiner that was revealed in the instructions to the Shattered Glass Starscream toy that you can see here, which was, I believe, the last figure to be released by the Transformers Collectors Club before they kind of closed their doors up and stopped making toys. There's no artwork that exists of this toy. In fact, for some reason, the artwork they used was of their Predicus combiner. That looks nothing like this, but whatever. And, there's no accompanying fiction, anything like that. Now, I said this was 4/5 of him, and that's because here you can see Red Alert, who's not an actual member of the combiner. In his place is supposed to be another club exclusive toy. This was the 2016 BotCon Medics figure, which was one of, I think, 5 options you had for their customization class. Now, I didn't get to go to the class, though I did actually go to that BotCon. That was the only one I ever got to go to. So I didn't get a Medics. And also I only had a 1 in 5 chance of picking the one that would inevitably go on to be part of this combiner anyway, so what can you do? So if you do happen to have it, good on you. But these guys do use the exact same mold. Medics even uses the same head as first aid, so I figure it's a good stand-in. For the other leg, you can see just standard Combiner Wars Rook. The torso is the individually released scatter shot, not the one that came with the Computron box set. And then over here, you have another customization class toy. This was Ratchet from the same BotCon. Now my Ratchet, as I said, I didn't intend the class. I bought the toy after the fact and managed to get one of the sticker sheets for him. So he's stickered up, but I haven't painted him. But he is supposed to be a Generation 1 Ratchet. So there are probably very few people out there that can actually make this combiner properly, because it would require you to actually own a Ratchet and a Medics. Officially, any version of the Ratchet will do, whether it's one of the customization options or the Unite Warriors Ratchet that came with Link's Master. So at least you have a few options there. The hardest part will be getting Medics. Anyway, yeah, it's a pretty well color coordinated toy. It's mostly red and white, and they're all, or not all, but most of them are some kind of rescue vehicles. The Shattered Glass Starscream is an interesting addition because he's from an entirely different universe. And one thing that's interesting you may notice is that his hands are both translucent plastic, and you have red for Starscream's hand, and you have a translucent blue for Ratchet's. And each one of these guys is supposed to have some kind of special power, special property when attached to a combiner. Ratchet has like some sort of like self-repair power that I guess his hand like channels. So the combiner has effectively got a healing factor. And then Starscream, he gets some sort of like super flaming punch of justice or something, which is pretty cool. And when he's in leg mode, he also gives him like a super jump like the Hulk, so that's neat. Now before Modulus existed as a concept, Ratchet's bios from the customization class actually linked him to Defensor. He was supposed to be a stand-in if any of the members of Defensor got injured, and then he could be there to like heal the combiner. So you could always make him part of Defensor if you have this guy. The G2 Ratchet, which was one of the customization options, was billed as being part of a G2 Defensor from Combiner Wars, which does lead to the theory that there was one planned and it got canceled, which is a real shame. Now, I know it's been like 5 years since Combiner Wars, but I would not complain if they decided to finally release that box set. I would totally buy it. Need to complete the G2 quartet there. So, Hasbro, if you're listening. Okay, well, having covered these, 6 different combiners in this video? Wonder how long it's gonna run. I leave it off to you. What do you all think of these? How many of you knew these existed? How many of you were giant nerds like me and peruse the internet for such information? I'm genuinely curious to know. What do you think of these combinations? Do you think they're cool? Do you think they're just like, man, like something a kid threw together, who cares? Love to know all your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed this rather unique review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you like content like this. If you want to see more content that I put out, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this rather out there look at some very, very lesser known combiners. And with all that said, I will see you next time.